Welcome to the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Cristina Aroche, and together we are walking the path of discovering your true self and the alignment with your soul. Through these conversations, you will experience a deeper level of connection with yourself and the universe, and most importantly, you will trust in your spiritual journey ahead. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Divine Connection Podcast. Today, we are diving into a conversation all around how to increase your ability to feel and connect with the angels. And this was inspired by some comments that I've been seeing recently on my channel and that I've noticed throughout the years that sometimes people have a hard time feeling the presence of the angels, even if you are doing a guided meditation, for example, which I have a ton on my YouTube channel, and people commenting every once in a while saying, I didn't feel anything. I listened to everything that you said and still nothing, felt nothing. Is there something wrong with me? That kind of a thing. And so I wanted to address that in today's episode and talk about how you can actually increase your ability to feel the connection to the angels, to feel their presence, to know that they're there, and to receive when you are in a place of, let's say, going through a guided energy healing or a guided meditation. How can you actually receive the energy? So, to first of all start off, the most important thing for you to know is that there's nothing wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you if you do not feel the angels right away, or if you don't feel anything when you do any sort of energy healing work, for example. There's nothing wrong with you. The reason why you don't always feel things right away, especially if this is one of your first times doing this, especially if you're just starting out, is because you are using a completely different part of your brain in order to sense those things. So if you think about your five senses, right? Your sight, your ability to hear, your ability to feel, like all those things, that requires a specific part of your brain to register. Like you're registering that you just saw something with your eyes, you're smelling something with your nose, whatever it is, you're hearing with your ears. And so you are receiving the senses, like there's an input that's coming into your brain. When it comes to connecting with spiritual energy and being aware of the senses on that level, on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, that is a different part of your brain that is working. And if you have lived most of your life, like a lot of us have, where you are not aware of spiritual energy, where you are disconnected from it, where it's not spoken about, it's not talked about, you're not learning about it, you're not experiencing it, it's kind of like that part of our brain, it doesn't shut down, but it just kind of isn't as active, and therefore it's like a muscle that's not been used. So I always talk about our connection with the angels and with the divine as a muscle. We have to use the muscle in order to strengthen it, in order to be good at it, in order to be comfortable with it. If you think about going to the gym for the first time, probably feel awkward, probably feel sore, probably feel like you can't hold much weight. And it's because it's your first time. Your muscles haven't been worked in that way in a long time, if ever. So it's the same thing here, where that part of your brain has not been worked for a long time, if ever. And so you are just starting to make it come up back online and awakening that part of you and awakening that sense and awakening that ability to perceive energy. So if you don't feel anything when you are doing a guided meditation, for example, it's okay. The first and most important thing that you have to know is that even if you didn't actually feel anything, it doesn't mean that it didn't quote unquote work. It doesn't mean that nothing happened. In fact, a lot of things happened. It's just that you weren't as aware of it because you're still practicing how to work that muscle. And that's the beautiful thing about working with energy, is that it is working no matter what. It is working on a level where we don't always necessarily detect it or can comprehend it or become aware of it, even though it's there. So that's the most important thing that you have to know when you are doing guided meditations or energy healings, is that they are doing their part. That energy is doing its thing no matter what, whether you felt it and saw it or didn't. It's still doing its thing. As long as you are willing and agreeing to it, we have our free will. So of course we have to allow to say, yes, I do want to receive this energy healing. Yes, I do want to be connected to the angels. Yes, that is something that I would like to do. Free will. So you have to accept it and acknowledge it and say yes. However, if you don't feel anything, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that you didn't receive healing, because you absolutely did. It's just that your brain is still catching up to the ability to sense it and to feel it. So when it comes to being able to increase your ability to feel and to sense and to connect with the angels and to connect with energy, the first most important thing is that you have to practice. You have to be consistently exposing yourself to that thing in order for you to become familiar with it, and in order for your brain to become familiar with sensing it and detecting it and becoming aware of it. So the first most important part of this is practice and consistency. So consistently listening to guided meditations with the angels, for example, consistently exposing yourself to environments or people that are talking about energy healing, that are talking about intuition, that are talking about all of the things that you want to be able to be aware of as well. That's the first part. Second part is that you have to believe in your ability to do so, which I know it can be hard, especially when you've lived your whole life not having that ability in your awareness or not really utilizing it. But it's important for you to come into a place of, what do you truly believe as your truth? Do you believe that you are a soul? Do you believe that you are connected to the divine? Do you believe that as a divine being, you are made up of energy? If you answered yes to those, then you can extend that belief out into, well, because I'm a soul, I'm a divine being, I'm made from energy, I belong to the divine, that I then have the ability to be aware of the same essence that I come from. If you come from spirit, if you are a spiritual being, it means that you hold that same essence. And it means that if you're working with that essence, or if that essence is presented to you, if we are receiving healing from that same essence, we have the ability to detect it. We have the ability to connect with it. We have the ability to be aware of it. And the only reason why you might not feel it right now is simply because of what I said earlier. It's your brain, it's your senses, it's the part of you that's connecting the two dots. There's a disconnection right now, but it's okay. As you practice, that connection gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and you'll start to be able to feel it more and be aware of it, and be able to feel more in alignment or in flow with what is happening on an energetic level. So that's another part of this that's really important, is working on your belief in your ability to do so. It's not until you actually believe that it's possible for you that that doorway and that opportunity opens up for you. I used to think that people who could channel, people who could see spirits, who could receive messages from spirit guides and angels, that was something that not everyone is able to do. You were gifted. You knew since you were a child that this was for you. And therefore, because of that, I disqualified my own self. I was like, oh, yeah, like I'm not special. I can't channel. Like I would have known by now if I could, and I can't. So that's just for special people. Until I realized that it's a skill that we can all learn. It's something that we all innately have. It's just a question of, have you developed it or not? And so once I started to open up to the possibility and to the belief that, oh, actually, maybe it is possible for me. And I started to see evidence around me. I would see people learning, I would see people offering courses on how to channel, how to connect, how to work with energy. I would start to expose myself to different meditations and energy healings and things like that, where I started to feel that and become aware of it. And I was like, oh, maybe actually it is possible that I can do this too. And once I started to open myself up to that possibility and to that belief, that's when things started to expand tenfold, like exponentially expand into my ability now to connect with angels and channel them the way that I do. But also, it all started with the belief that I could do so in the first place. So that's really important. The next thing that you want to become aware of, or the next thing that you want to do to support your ability and to support this increase in being aware of angels and connecting with angels is acknowledging all of the different signs and all the different ways that you have experienced the presence of angels up until this point. That means that if you're seeing angel numbers 111, 222, 444, whatever it is, that you acknowledge, oh yeah, I am sensing the angels. I am sensing them, even if it's not on this other level that I desire to. But even just right now, the fact that I just saw 1111, or the fact that this angel number just flashed in front of me, the fact that I have had this knowing, this intuitive inkling, this intuitive feeling in my mind about this angel or about that angel, whatever experiences you've had, write them down and celebrate them and acknowledge them and understand that these are all experiences that are adding to you. They're cumulative. It's adding. It's all adding up to support you. And so even if it's not satisfactory, like to the point where you want it to be, it's important to acknowledge where you are right now and to acknowledge that these are all stepping stones along the way to where you do want to go and how you do want to experience the angels. So that's another part of this that's important, is acknowledging the different signs and ways that you've experienced the angels energy, your spirit guides, whatever it is specifically that we're talking about, but the way that you've experienced it up until this point is so important for you to acknowledge. And the last thing that I'll share is it's important to look at your vibration and raising your vibrational energy and understanding the impact of your vibrational energy on how you perceive information, how you are connecting with the angels. Your vibrational energy is so key. It is so important. It is so vital to your continued growth in terms of spiritual connection. And I feel like I could do a whole podcast episode on just on vibrational energy. So I'm probably going to do that. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. But to keep it short right now, everything that you consume impacts your vibrational energy. So it's about your consumption, meaning what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you eating? What are you drinking? Like all of that, what you're consuming is what's going to impact your vibrational energy. That means that your emotional energy doesn't have as much of an impact. I think that when we first step into this world, we think like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling bitter, I'm feeling resentment, I'm feeling sad. Like I need to clear that out. I need to switch my energy. I need to switch my vibe. I need to become more high vibe. I need to, and we kind of mix the two up, where we think that if we're feeling frustrated or uninspired or angry or whatever it is, that it's taking us out from being able to develop our connection. But that's actually not true. Our emotional energy is a part of our human experience, and your emotional energy is going to go up and down and all over the place 20 times a day. Doesn't matter, what's going on. We are emotional beings, and our emotions are like a roller coaster. And so it's not about changing the roller coaster. It's not, I know sometimes it's not enjoyable to go through that. But what's important to understand is that it's not about your emotional energy. If you're feeling angry or sad about something, you don't have to drop everything in order to now switch your vibe and make sure that you're high vibe all the time. That's not what it is. You have to look at what you're consuming. What are you consuming? What is influencing you on a consistent basis? What are you watching on TV? What are you eating, drinking? Like I said, everything that comes into your field, into your energy field, from the people that you are interacting with on a regular basis, to the shows that you're watching, to the food that you're eating, to whatever it is that you're putting in your body, that's what's going to influence your vibrational energy the most. And that is what's going to impact you the most when it comes to your spiritual connection. And anything that you consume is either raising your vibration or it's lowering your vibration. That's just the fact of it. And it's up to us to decide our tolerance level and where we desire to go, and also what we're being called into when it comes to assessing what am I allowing into my body and what am I not allowing into my body or into my energy field in terms of people and things like that. And that's where we have to develop boundaries. That's where we have to develop our sense of integrity. That's where we have to acknowledge where's the line. And everyone's line is going to be different. So I'm not the person who's going to say, like, this is the rule, this is how you have to be. If you don't do that, then you can't connect with the angels. That's not how it is. That's not how it works. But there's a lot there. So we're going to save that for a whole episode in and of itself, because I think that's really valuable and important to become aware of that. But the thing that I'll leave you with today is to look at what are you consuming and to look at what your vibrational energy feels like, and to understand, like, where am I at right now vibrationally? Where do I consistently feel like I'm at? Am I consistently feeling low vibe? Am I consistently feeling resentment? Am I consistently unhappy? And that will give you an indication as to where your vibrational energy is, rather than like what you're feeling right now in this given moment, because our emotions are fleeting and they will change, like I said, 20 times a day. So that's where I'm going to leave you with. And that's another part to this whole puzzle when it comes to deepening our connection with the angels and being able to feel them, being able to connect with them. The most important thing here is that you start to be consistent, you start to practice being in that presence, being in that energy healing, receiving that connection so that you can develop and become familiar with it. If that's something that you want to do, if that's something that you're looking for, I'm really excited to share something, a really special and powerful resource that I've created that I'm so excited to share with you, which is the meditation library. So I have compiled and put together some of the most incredible meditations. They are newly recorded, meaning that I didn't just take them from a past course or a past thing and just like rework them. This is freshly recorded meditations, all in a library, and they are organized based on specific topics. So I have a whole set that is just about connecting with the archangels. There are some meditations that are more specific, like a meditation to release anxiety and fear, a meditation for self-love, a meditation to call in your soulmate love, like all sorts of different things. Like there's so many. So go check it out. I'm going to leave the link here inside of the show notes for you. So check it out below this episode and go browse the library. It's literally like, I want you to feel like you're entering into a library, and there's different sections, just like a library. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go into this section today. And let me see what's here. And let me do this meditation. And let me, do that. And so you can mix and match and do whatever you like that feels most empowering for you, for what you need right now in your life. And I'm really excited to share that with you. So the meditation library is officially open. It's officially available. And I think it's going to change your life. I think it's going to be one of the most powerful things that you experience. This is something that I've consistently received feedback on for the last several years from people, is that the meditation, the way that you feel the connection with the angels through my meditations, is just very transformative and very deep and very powerful. And so for anyone who is desiring extra support, or even just a way to have a consistent practice and consistent way of deepening your connection, this library is for you. So I'm so excited for you to dive in. Let me know how it goes for you once you get started. I can't wait. So other than that, that is it for the episode today. Thank you for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode, then please feel free to share this podcast with your friends, with your loved ones. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can share the video. If you're watching me on a podcast, or listening, I should say, on a podcast platform, then share it out. Share it to your social media. Make sure that you review the podcast, especially on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. That helps with the ratings and helps this podcast become more discoverable. So please submit your review. And if you're watching me on YouTube, then you can always give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel. I have lots of angel videos that come out on the actual YouTube channel. But that's pretty much it. So I'm so excited to be in community with you. And as always, I am sending you so much love and angel blessings, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to learn more about the Divine Connection podcast, you can go to CristinaAroche.com/podcast and learn about how you can be featured on the show.